Hello, this is Pixie doing a video. I was having some thoughts about Game of Thrones. I watched the last episode, and I don't know, there might be some spoilers if you haven't in this video. So I just got to remember the names. So you've got the Mother of Dragons, Daenerys, I believe. I might be wrong, you know. It's just one of these things. I watch it, I don't even think about people's names. I just know them. Targaryen, and yeah. So I think she may be resurrected, and how that will happen is that she'll be taken back to the Kingdom of the Dragons, so wherever they're from, which is probably a mountain region, and taken to there's a High Council of Dragons in some essence, and they will resurrect them using the dragon's fire, and you might have a group of say 7 dragons. We'll choose a sort of a special number, add a bit of numerology in there, and yeah, so they're basically have slightly different fire. Maybe they might breathe out of them as well, and that'd be like the breath of life. So they put a part of their soul into her, and it'll restore her. However, she won't be quite the same person that she was before. And her eyes can have like dragon. You can get like these contact lenses. So you get these ones that are dragon eyes, or so she can have them. And maybe another gift would be dragon's fire as well. But I mean, obviously for her it'd be a short fight. She wasn't really something for a combat, but she would make maybe some kind of like dragon magic, dragon sorcery, or something like that. That was pretty cool. Especially if you could just like spit a fireball, but also a few extra attacks she could have, and oh well, yeah, I just thought I'd let you go. So it's quite the road. Okay. Yeah, and Kiss of Death, that would be a pretty cool one as well. Hiding that skill and just go up to them, just kiss them, and then she'd just ignite them with a fireball inside their face. So just burn them. It'd be like Sonya Blade, I think, from Mortal Kombat, and this Kiss of Death. So she'd be something. She won't be quite human, but maybe as a result, she might be immortal. That'd be something weird. Or actually, what makes her she'll be what's the right word in for it? Not necessarily. She would be fairly much invincible. The only way to kill her would be to kill the 7 dragons who restored her with her breath, because they added a life force to her. That's why. But that would be sort of like the secret that's never shared, is that the 7 dragons of the kingdom. And also the things with the dragons is that they have been the Watchers. They were never aggressors really. They had the capacity for it, but they were in a more kind of spiritual position. They represent something from the old world, and they had never had any intention for warfare. So the dragon was quite intelligent. It destroyed the throne. It understood, and it destroyed the throne, and it knew that the ways of man have destroyed the 7 kingdoms, and so in essence they won't be ever unified again. That's what is demonstrated. Or they just melted into one, so there could never ever be a ruler like that again. So they just destroyed that, and so now you've got government have formed, and that would be sort of pushing that out apart from the north, where you've got a queen, and at some point a storyline might have come across where somebody wants to marry her, and it's going to be someone from the south. If there's somebody who, or maybe one of the other kingdoms that are the unexplored realms. And it'd be nice to find if there was a realm that, well, as a realm that had some orcs there, to introduce some more bad guys. And some dwarfs. You can have a dwarf kingdom, and you can have like the black orcs, or the orcs of a certain swamp region, or wherever they are involved, and much into the wetlands. And there's probably another darker side as well with Jon Snow. See, the thing is, if Jon Snow, I think it's hilarious. If it's not, I'm just have to check it out later. But oh Christ, I've mentioned the wrong person. But if he ended up having he chose the wrong path. He was an absolute idiot when it comes to romance. You should never have chosen for that. Christ. Basically, he screwed it up. She wanted a male as a leader there, or someone to support her, and she gave the option before: it's either going to be through love or through fear. And so then it's going to be fear then. And he had these options all the time. He could have said to her, look, I want to build something to remember from love. I know we both had pain, but I think, you know, if you do this for me, if you show mercy for me, I would always show love for you. And then he could turn around and say, what I want to do is build a kingdom and start a family with you. He reached to her feminine side, reached to the woman inside, the part of her that doesn't want to fight anymore. She's been messed up from birth and sent on some crazy thing to, you know, she's basically abused and thrown under the bus for her brother's ambitions. Even though she had the natural gift to be the leader, it's just that she did not want. She doesn't want to be that. She's the only one that's able to be that, the mother of dragons, and they know that. And it's more also how the dragons represent. Nobody worshipped the dragons. The dragons were probably more important, and so there's more to go really. So there's a few things, and also the three-eyed raven. That chap, he might actually not be good at all. I assume he's good, but his intentions might not be. He may want to bring the balance of more than of man. So there could be a darker twist. I mean, what the three-eyed raven is into the crippled bloke is just a parasite, and it will move on to its next victim at some point. Yeah, I mean, it'd be good if there's like a little army of dwarves. I think that'd be quite good, because they would embrace, you know, the last of the Lannisters. They'd embrace the imp, and it would be quite interesting. I mean, there's lots of other options as well. Like, they could even be like alternative endings almost. I mean, if you had where certain alliances were created, if they worked out differently, you know, like if they sided with the mother of dragons rather than like the Ironborn, I think that captain chap who was nuts, who wanted to have a baby with her. If he went with the other side, a different story altogether. It would have forged a new type of army, a new type of warfare. But it'd be nice to have something else come into it. I don't think it's over the world, and there's, like you say, there's a bigger kingdom there. The realms of man, which is kind of what, you know, there's on a conspiracy front. There's all these people saying that there's it's like pushing like a flat Earth thing. It kind of parallels with their desires and beliefs, and what it's saying is just, you know, one of them, I can't forget what her name is, the assassin. She's gone off to explore beyond the reaches, basically, and it could be the same for flat earthers. May want to need to go further north, which takes something. There's all this. People always create reasons not to do something and say there is something there because it's politicised what they've created. You know, it's like leaders, cult leaders and so on. they will talk about the beyond the veil as if if they're the ones that can see, but never actually go there. And if the option to go there is there, it'd be just well, put it this way, it would be a suicide pact probably, or something nuts. So that's a bit more darker than the Game of Thrones. But yeah, I was thinking of different stories. Like I say, I mentioned that you have these all meet on like a mountain top, these dragons, and it's a full moon, and then they breathe a dragon's breath, and possibly in the future she has dragon's armour as well. So she can't get supposedly can't go and stab her. But she may be changed in some way. I don't think the dragon's necessarily evil. They shouldn't reflect that. They represent knowledge. And the deeper stories of the Targaryens, you know, where they come from and things like that. They've come from a different land over. There may even be a place, like I mentioned, with portals or somewhere where they connect. A bit like tells a hidden story of this world. The idea that maybe different humans have come from different places and been sort of transported. I mean, there was some series in the past, and they kind of had they were making husks, and what they were doing, they were downloading DNA and the entity. And they were a type of aliens, but the only thing is they got addicted to the human form, and you know, like sex, they didn't realise there would be pleasure involved in it, because their race, I think, the sex was less comfortable, but for a human, they could enjoy it. So they were different, but it could be there's, like I say, the idea of portals. It's like guide levels and things. The idea was you create a husk, so you change the body of a person, then you use a stargate to transport the soul essence of the entity into the person. So kind of like a realm where there's ether or a barrier out there, but you're transcending that through frequency and energy. You know, it's a bit like if you wanted to teleport someone, you want to turn them to an energy form and then transfer them into the body, because it'd be much more difficult to actually beam up someone's molecular structure from a different planet and stick them into reassemble them back into the same order and put them into a body. How would you do that? You'd have to destroy them first. They'd have to die in order to exist in energy form, and I'd have to have a force field wrapped around them or something. You know, it'd be impossible. That method, the only way you could do it is to have a cloned body and then electrically beam up. Well, you'd have to map it to their current body and then beam that up. And what might happen is you have some assembly of yourself, or you might just be able to transfer your consciousness straight across. But the only problem with that is you would have some amnesia, or you'd be in some different state of being. It'd take a while for you to sync. You know, it's like if you get new technology, it's not instantly going to run the same as the old technology, because you'd have to put lots of things in place to make it run the same. The neurons would fire up differently. You'd have to relearn things, because you wouldn't have had that experience. But you may do, who knows, if transferring the consciousness across like that. But it's a bit more complicated. It's a bit like people that have been reincarnated. They've had a lot of knowledge from the past, but then past a certain point they seem to have just moved on. They've kind of archived their experience, and when they're teenagers, and they've synced with the body, and so it has like this genetic memory that's been uploaded with stuff in it. A lot of things people know, so it goes your superconscious state. So if you do a task and you seem to be quite good at it, it's because you have a knowledge of it before. It's not just simply you figured it out. there's a memory, or there's some knowledge programmed deep into the psyche that gives you access. A bit like driving. I took to driving quite well, and I actually knew the answer was just to relax. I learned that you cannot analyse driving; you had to feel it, and so. Like even changing gears and putting things, I'm not overthinking about it, I just instinctively do it. Because I learnt to relax and then tap into that knowledge about how to drive, and that's sort of where I went from there. So yeah. So I'm just thinking back into anything with Game of Thrones. So yeah, I think there's going to be other shows come out there. And you could have something whereby if they could mess around the time continuum, you'd have different outcomes. And did the Three-Eyed Raven deliberately choose the worst outcome? He chose the one where he survives, and saw the fall of the queens. I mean, all they really needed was a correct male. That's what it seemed to indicate, that because there was a bloody duff men in their lives, they screwed it all up, because they was forced to make decisions that led to them sacrificing themselves anyway. So they're willing to die for their decisions, and that was just that, really. I'll say we're better with blokes. Jon Snow needs to be developed. I mean, he's okay as a character, but he isn't. I mean, he's probably would be better involved at some level, but he's not like the natural leader I would choose. He's a bit, he takes on some interesting roles, but he doesn't come across as like Romeo. He doesn't really engage very well with the opposite sex. Basically screwed that situation up. If he got with the Mother of Dragons and sorted that situation out, different outcome completely. He could have influenced the war, and look what she sacrificed. She sacrificed her army. She went up north to fight the White Walkers. She wasn't going to fight them at all. She got involved, and then it became personal. And look at what she lost in the process, and the person she was supporting killed her. She would have been better off just leaving them to it, and then finishing off what was left. But the only thing is, what would have been left would have been literally the Northerners turned into White Walkers. That's what happened. And if the Night King stayed up north or stayed out of the picture, he would have an army that no one could defeat, because he could just keep knocking them out. He'd just turn up behind his army and then produce a load of more. He could have just attacked all the vulnerable around the main area of Westeros, and then he would have just he could have set up all the armies around it and circled it. I mean, what was his final goal? Or just basically just cemented himself in certain areas and then just build the army there. If he was aware there's some sort of conflict or human armies, maybe he thought they were going to join forces. And so he wanted to divide and conquer. They thought he could take a smaller army out and then move on, but he was a bit more vulnerable than he realised. With his ego. However, something like him could be resurrected, I'm sure. Some other dark force might move in. Did I mention about Jon Snow? Yeah, because I can't remember how he got. Because he got brought back, didn't he, by the Lord or whatever. He could be a kind of puppet to that deity, and maybe used. Maybe he's got a control over him. So all he's got to do is put the pain on him. Would Jon Snow be willing to die? Or would he be able to, if he was in so much pain, would he kill himself? So there could be a lot of dark side plots. It's like something from Skyrim a little bit. So yeah, anyway, this is Pixie signing off, and speak to you again.